So after owning the 24mm G Master, just wanted to chat with you what I like about it and why is it worth buying it, even it's one of the expensive lens lineup on the Sony lens. So the 24mm G Master is nice and small compared to the competition from Canon and Nikon, and it's a prime lens. It can open up to f1.4. So in the body, you get an aperture control. You could put your lens up to f1.4 to f16. Then the next one is auto mode, which is I don't use. Most often I shoot at f1.4. Yeah, just stop down if I'm taking quite a lot of photos of group shots on a wedding, and yeah, depending on filming, establishing a shot, I gotta stop down it to whatever I want. And it also has a button for you to assign. On my A7 III, I assign it for eye autofocus, and on my A7S III, I assign it for just autofocus transition speed. Most open, I show a black promise on the lens itself just to get rid of the super sharp, because this lens is pretty sharp even open up at f1.4. But I think my lens copy, it's a little bit like blurry on the right side of the frame. I don't know, because I have dropped this when I'm shooting weddings. I thought it clicked, but apparently I didn't put it properly, so it dropped on the ground. One of the things that I like about this is shooting at f1.4, blurring out the background on a portrait, environmental portrait. It's one of the things that I like about it. It's you could make the background blur really great, and the only thing is you have to be aware of when you're framing it. It just might be some distortion on it if you're getting too close to your subject, and if you're not centered enough, it's maybe a little bit wonky, and so you just gotta know your distance. If you're too close to the subject, this might be the noise can be elongated or whatever. Just what it is. One of the great things about this is really on a low light. Shooting weddings and on a gimbal, whatever you call it, it's one of my go-to lens, especially on like a dance floor. Kind of like those vibes, like you are actually with the couple enjoying whatever. Anyway, it's what I like about it. So it also has a smooth focusing ring, which is electronic focusing system, and there's no moving parts or whatever. It's just what it is. Another thing that I like about this is the autofocus system really works well. It tracks whatever you point into. You could really adjust your camera sensitivity to autofocus whatever, how responsive you want it. And for me, it just works, especially if you're on a gimbal. It just works really well. Third thing that I like about this lens is the field of view is not too wide. It's not too zoom in. It is wide, really, for my needs. It's just what my preference is when it comes to wide angle lens. Being close with a couple feels like you're there celebrating with them, hanging out with them. One of the vibe that I like on my wedding films, and for my own project as well, shooting my baby, my wife. It's just my personal lens that I like to shoot it. And if I wanted to, I could crop in. I could pretty much get like 35mm-ish focal length. Obviously, I'm losing some f-stop or whatever. Doesn't worry me. So yeah, it works. Another thing that I like about this is close focusing distance. It could really throw up the background really blurry. Even on the talking head like this, just open up the aperture to f1.4 and you could really make the background really creamy. So one of the reasons why I bought this lens is shooting landscape, shooting astrophotography, but apparently life gets me so busy, having a toddler, having a baby back then, and makes me just to focus on just shooting weddings. And so that's where I put all my energy, and no more shooting landscape. But I still like to carry this lens when I'm traveling, maybe in the future when the borders open up or when the pandemic is gone. So yeah, one of the things that I don't like about this lens is the chromatic aberration isn't that great. Probably just my copy, but if you're shooting against the light, whatever, trees, there's some like chromatic aberrations, and it is one of my favorite lens. It stays on my camera 90% of the time. So one of the great thing about this is it's pretty much your B-roll cinematic lens. You could really make a great sequence. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Cheers, guys.